Howdy. Welcome back. This is the Tier 3 for units here. This is the third tier list for units of Heroes 3. We're doing Tier 3, obviously, as we're counting up. We're going to start with Armadillos, which, would you pull up the stats? So, start average is about 3 to 6. They're 3 to 5, so they're kind of low end. Their health is a little bit high, and their speed is low. They're not bad as like a decently tanky third level unit to kind of surround your archers. So I would say they're a D tier. Nothing impressive, but like you will take them with your army. You're not mad to have them, which that's kind of where they land. What's the upgrade look like? So 3 to 5 still the same health plus 2 speed, no additional ability. However, if you haste them, they'll roll when they move. So they also go in D tier, but like that's a cool thing.
What D tier?
I mean they're better. So yeah, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. They guard your halflings really well since they're 2 hex units. You only need 2 stacks of these guys to cover the halflings in the corner. I don't know whether Armadillo adds much. They don't really do anything more with their 2 speed. They give you better movement, which I guess makes them marginally better, but it's a close call. Next up is the Cove units, the Pirate. Pirates have only 4 shots. They are 3/7, so solidly above average damage, with below average health. But there's some really tanky units throwing that curve off. And again, they're getting their first 4 attacks off for free, which is really nice. They got kind of average speed. They're just solid. They're not really shooters, but they're pretty good. I'd probably put them in the top of D, possibly bottom C. Maybe we'll see as the list goes on. They're kind of middling stats, but ranged for the first half of the combat or better. And then if you upgrade them, they become quite good. Their stats don't really increase except for their speed, which increases by 1. They're still 3 to 7. However, they have no melee penalty and no enemy retaliation when they run out of shots, which makes them a whole hell of a lot better. I would easily put these guys like top of B tier most likely. Again, we'll see as the list goes on. That may be subject to change, but I think they're really solid. You get free damage in the beginning of the fight, and then you get free damage the rest of the fight. These guys are really, really great. And then, of course, you have the Sea Dogs. These guys are absolute menaces. Again, we play on impossible difficulty with tournament rules, so you start with 2500k. We have really poor maps. We have a bunch of spell limitations. These guys are well worth their cost, which is immense. They have the ranged death stare, which is just terrifying. If you protect these guys, they give you easily the most value in this tier, bar none. These guys are absolute, dogs.
So I'll say that the B ranking might end up going down later. I would say that the Sea Dogs do belong up at the top of A. They have the ability to get the accurate shot and kill people, which is just very, very good on a ranged stack. And so, they also get... Do they have 12 shots now? I think they get to 12 shots.
The Sea Dog gets more shots, yeah.
So I think that it's a really useful and capable upgrade. Yeah. So I would say that Sea Dogs definitely deserve that. I could see the Corsairs being as low as C, but maybe not. Maybe low and B. I think that they might be slightly overrated. But we'll see depending on what other things come in, if they are or are not. Next, Water Elementals. So 3 to 7, 30 health. 30 health is pretty good. 5 speed. They're kind of slow. They're kind of tanky, and their damage is pretty good. I mean, there's nothing to write home about. They're just better than Armadillos. I think they're maybe bottom end C. Maybe they're top end D. You want to look at them again? Let me compare them. So, 2 more high end damage, 5 more health, 1 more speed. Yeah, I think they're considerably above Armadillos. And let's look at the Ice Elementals, though, which I believe keeps stats and just gain range. Yeah. So 1 speed and the ability to throw it. So I think they go at the bottom of B tier. They're tanky for a ranged unit. Their damage isn't like crazy, but it's not bad. Like 3 to 7's fine. What does that compare to the Corsairs actually?
Same.
I would say they are better than the Corsairs. Double the health, and they have 1 less speed, same damage. Now, Corsairs have no retaliation, no melee penalty, so when they run into shots, they still have that kind of ability going. But the Ice Elementals are tanky, and, like, again, they don't actually run into shots. I would say I would be happy to argue them to be better than the Corsairs, but what is your response?
Well, I'd want you to consider most combats. If you're not heavily kiting back and forth, where you're actually running out of shots and it's an issue, most fights 4 shots is actually enough. And then you're into melee, where this dude's still doing full damage with no retail. And the Ice Elementals are 2 hexes. You can't cover them up. They're tanky, but they're going to get covered and be doing half damage. So in most combats, again, if you're not heavily kiting, most combats, you don't need more than 4 shots. You're kind of getting into melee range anyways at that point, particularly because they're 2 hex.
Well, so my argument for Ice Elemental's advantage is just they're less likely to be visited upon the death of most shooters, which is just a lightning bolt or a meteor shower. And it's like legitimately half the health, which is just so much less. It's really hard to describe how much less. They do more damage, so I can see like why. But the thing is, like, at both Broken Arrow and like full range, like their damage is the same. So like, I'd be pretty hard pressed to find the advantage to be more than literally double the HP. So I would argue that the Corsairs are below them. That's what I would put them.
Man, I will disagree, but I will give you the nod. Again, I just don't think ranged combat lasts more than 4 turns unless you're super kiting. But I will give you the positioning. Moving on to serpent flies and flies. Well, no, dragonflies and serpent flies. 2 to 5, 20 HP. They're slightly below average in everything except for speed, and then they have the debuff, the dispel when they attack. These guys, they're really good. They tank decently in the early game. They play a pretty pivotal role in their faction. I think they're really solid. 2 to 5 damage is, it's kind of meh, but they're fast. You get the first attack off from them. The debuff can be really nice, even like mid game, even late game, can be pretty important. They're probably the bottom of C. I would say possibly the top of D. That's kind of a wash for me. I would, honestly, maybe they're better than Water Elementals. Let me check that really quick. So 30 HP. So they have 10 less HP, but they have 4 more movement.
That's slower too, but you're right.
That's a lot of movement. I would definitely do this. That's a ton of mobility that they have. They get into the fight. They actually carry their faction. The Water Elementals are kind of just there. I feel pretty solid about that. And then if you upgrade them, they gain 5 movement, and they also get they have 8. They have
9.
Oh no, they have 9. No, you're right.
Still
4 movement, and they have the weakness. These guys can get across in 1 turn, I think, if it's a 2 hex unit.
No.
Just straight up they get across. These guys are awesome. I would way rather have these guys than either of the B tiers. Maybe even bottom of A. Why can I not control this? Huh. What is going on?
I move these guys. In the way. I don't know. That's our second to talk. We're trying to figure it out.
All right. Man, okay, go for it.
Yeah, so I was going to say that there's a lot of particular advantages you have for the dragonflies. The actual weakness, like you hit people and they drop things. What is this PN here? is this?
I don't know.
I just wonder if it's the thing. Yeah, see if you can close it out. Yeah. Well, that's
I don't
irritating.
know. I can't move the list. It's super weird. Go away.
Strange. If you hit up and down, what do these buttons even do? The Edge.
I don't know.
We're a professional lot here. Okay.
Stuck it.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no. We're moving the whole list.
Oh, no.
No, C tier. Gotta move C tier down. Move it down. Sure.
Why can't I control anything? Why can't I move?
You look. Okay, they're there. We know in our minds.
All right.
I guess
don't know what's
that's
going on.
yeah.
I want to put them top of B.
They're at the top of B in our hearts. Next is orcs. Now, let's pull up orcs and look at them. 2 to 5, so they have the same damage as serpent flies. They have 15 health, so they're quite squishy, and they have 4 speed. They are not very good. They're particularly not very good, but they're ranged, and like they fit pretty well for the stack. So I'd say they're the bottom of D tier. Like you will take them with you because like you'll use them. You know, at worst case scenario, if someone flies in and like they get smacked by your behemoth or something, like you'll have them in your army. You're not mad to have them there, even though they don't do much. They're kind of like the first of your terrible units to buy, and then you upgrade them, and then let me see the stats. Let's pull it up. 2 to 5, 20, 5 health, and 1 speed. Wow, seems amazing. We're going to stick that just above them. No, I'd say they're probably above the armadillo.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the upgraded armadillo. We switch that all around. But, like, the thing is, like, you do buy them. They do sit in your army, and you have your Ogre Magi and your behemoths hanging around them. So, like, no one really wants to jump them. So they just do very little damage for every fight for a while, you know? They fit into a very, like, non-impactful. I mean, honestly, no. The thing is, I feel like Corsairs are... Not Corsairs, not Sea Dogs. Pirates? Pirates are probably C tier, I gotta be honest. I don't think they belong there. I think they're probably a lot better than the Orc Chieftains. But that's just me. Anyway, that's what I would argue. Yeah, you can't change them. Accept it. Some things are beyond you.
Oh. Man, that's gonna bug me. I don't know why I can't move that.
Add a row and then delete a row?
No, I don't know why. See, I have the hand and then I have the arrow up here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was actually looking at these guys. The 3 to 7 damage is just so much better. I would put the armadillos, both of them, over the Orc Chieftains because of their role. They protect the halflings, which honestly the halflings are like better than the Orc Chieftains. As a stack, they deal way more damage. So I think they're really important for their role. But
I mean, I think the thing is, they're like a decent early game power stack, but like you actually have pretty good options for power stacks from Factory, and different options for like starting powers. Because like you could just start Ziff and you just take Lightning Bolt. If you take Henrietta, Armadillos are really important, but like, I mean, honestly, like you don't necessarily need to go down this path at all. You can just like skip Armadillos basically for like the whole game. Like you just go 4th unit, then 6th, and then your 8th. And like they're not that important. You don't pick them up. Whereas Orcs and Orc Chieftains, like you probably have enough money to buy your Orc stack decently regularly. They're your 5th priority, but you usually have enough to like kind of just scrape and buy when you're buying your units. And so, unlike the Armadillos, I expect you to have their army, like, have them in your army late game. And, yeah, that just makes them just considerably better in my mind than a unit I would not want in my army unless I had to. So, that's my argument.
ooh, I can do it. Yay, then I feel a lot better. I guess I could concede that point. I think that even if you don't want to carry them, they can be decent on a second hero. Again, just to protect your halflings. It's just kind of free. They slow your army down a little bit. I guess I could be swayed either way. The Orc Chieftains just feel like they basically do nothing. I wouldn't even buy them. Where the armadillos I already have them and they fill a decent role. So
I mean, they're worth buying.
I get a lot more value out of the armadillos, I think. But on to the Evil Eyes. I love these units. Maybe it's just the sound effect, the nostalgia. I don't know. Love them. Let's see, 3 to 5, so 2 lower high-end damage than the pirate, and decent amount more health. They got okay speed, a little bit lower than the pirate, and they have no melee penalty, which makes them great. I think that's really important for a range stack to not be, cut at the knees when they get into melee. I'd put them immediately into B. And they're considerably worse than Corsairs, I would say, but they do a similar... They kind of fill a similar role. I think the no retail is really good. But these units are really solid. I really like them. I like them better than Medusas. You can get a bigger stack of them. They do a lot of your work early game as dungeon. They're kind of your workhorses. And then if you upgrade them, you only get 2 speed. That's something, but not much. Ranged units don't really need a speed. I mean, it's helpful, but it's not a critical feature. You're kind of sitting back anyways, so it's just turn priority. It's one of every resource, which is pretty costly. Again, we play on tournament rules, on impossible difficulty. Resources can be a factor. I'd put them slightly above, but like kind of neck and neck with each other. Just because you have other buildings you want to go after, and especially in dungeon, they have really good secondary buildings. They have the mana vortex. You want to get their mage guild rolling. The cost for the upgrade is just not really worth it. I'd actually maybe do this. In fact, thoughts?
No, that's a good point. I mean, 2 speed's not the worst because you do expect them to get parked at some point. So then turn order matters more, but you're not wrong. They're not amazing as an upgrade. Yeah. All right. Let's see Wights and Wraiths. 3/5, 18 health, 5 speed, flying, regeneration, undead. I mean, regeneration doesn't do much when you have 18 health, and 5 speed. Flying isn't great when you have 5 speed, and 3 to 5 damage is not impressive. I mean, they're darn near they're probably bottom of D tier, frankly. They're not impressive. All right. Orcs are 2 to 5, 15. So they have 1 more low end damage. They have 10 more. No, they have 3 more health. Yeah, they're not enough better than orcs to be, or even like in melee to really change them up. Now Wights or Wraiths, they get 2 speed and mana drain. What? How much is mana drain?
It's like
Just
two mana per.
Middle click it and let's see the ability.
Well,
You middle clicked it a lot. 2 spell points
per stack.
So they just take it.
Yeah. On their turn.
I mean, 2 speed and 2 mana points per turn. That's better. I mean, honestly, it's probably better than Orc Chieftains, but like, I wouldn't say it's C tier. I think it's just bottom of D tier.
Bottom of D tier.
Sorry, top of D tier. Apologies. That is the opposite of what I meant. Any thoughts on that?
I think the 2 extra speed makes them usable. 3 to 5 damage, 2 to 5 free damage.
And less health.
Yeah, that's maybe a wash. I would rather have the Wraiths, I think.
Well, exactly.
So,
but that's the comparison. Is those are the 2 that
Yep, I would agree. Into the Hellhounds. Inferno's unit. These guys are, on paper, pretty good. 2 to 7 is marginally worse than the Pirate. They have a lot of HP. One of the tankiest units. Tied for second with a couple units. Griffins and the Armadillos. 7 speed is really good for an unupgraded. That's actually best in slot.
No, it's Serpent Flies are best in slot.
No, you're right. Yep.
Second best.
Man, serpent flies are fast. Hellhounds are fast though, and they're tanky, and they do decent. I don't know if you can get bless actually. You can't get bless with their faction, right?
No, but like it's a first level spell.
They're
so
fast
it
and
might be a
tanky.
thing you run into.
I would rather have them than water elementals. Their speed actually makes them usable. They have slightly less damage, like slightly 5 less HP. But again, you're actually getting them into the fight, and they're actually doing something. And then if you upgrade them, their upgrade is amazing. The damage doesn't change, but they can attack multiple units, and they have no retail, and they gain another speed. It's a really good upgrade. This unit's really good. They're not in the build path for devils or Ifrits, so they basically you don't get them. You kind of have to go out of your way to use them, but you feel really good when you use them. They're potent. These guys are pretty scary to fight in the field. You can't like cover your shooters because they just kill all your 1-stacks like immediately. They wait and they run all the way across. They're kind of a menace to fight, but it's really hard to actually mass these guys. I would probably put them low B. I think their unit is technically better. Maybe top of C. I think the unit is stats are better, but it's really difficult to actually mass. If you were to like get a Pandora's box of 30 of these guys early game, you'd feel really good. They're just really difficult to actually get.
I mean, I feel the issue isn't that they're hard to come across, but just that you're usually prioritizing other build paths. So rushing Ifriti or Devils, and you're just kind of like, Hellhounds are fine, but they're not enough better than anything else you're doing to be like worth the pit stop. I could see them being the bottom of B, top of C. That is roughly where I think they belong. Up next is Golems. Now we start with Clay Golem. Stone. Right, Clay is something different, huh? 4 to 5, so it's good damage, 30 HP. That's pretty good. 3 movement. That's really bad. I'm going to go ahead and say Stone Golems. Yeah, 50% reduction to damage. Straight in F tier. 3 speed is too slow. Like you don't put it on your heroes.
What if you're Josephine?
Then you upgrade them to Iron Golems. You don't have Stone Golems in your army. Stone Golems are only for defending a castle effectively. Like you just can't slow yourself down. It's not relevant. But then they upgrade into Iron Golems. Let's take a look at them. Now Iron Golems get plus 2 speed, 5 HP, no damage. The damage was good before though, and 25% spell damage reduction. These guys are really useful. Like, they're really nice because you have a lot of ranged units, so you expect to play defensively. You're also a spellcaster group, and they're resistant to spells, so they're going to hang around and just stay near ranged stacks, waiting for someone to fly over to go hit them. They're really solid. Frankly, I would say that they're B tier. I think that they are low B tier. I want to say probably below all the ranged stacks, but like, they're going to, in the late game, be a relevant unit stack. You're going to go into big battles, and you're going to be glad you brought them. They don't slow you down that much because they're like on par with your Master Ground ones. I was going to say something else, but yeah. And again, 75% damage reduction from spells and a very, very robust health pool make them useful. So, and their damage nothing to sneeze at. 4 to 5 is pretty good for this. It's consistent. So, any thoughts?
I'm pretty happy with the placement. Late game, these guys are really nice for taking retails. You don't exactly want to take retails with other units. Your Nagas don't have retail, so you do need someone to go punch the black dragons or whatever is flown across and just take that, and these guys do it really well. These dudes, they are 1 movement. They kind of fill a similar role to the armadillos, but they are 1 movement slower. They're 3 to 4, which I think is fine to leave them in F tier. I really don't usually carry these guys unless I'm specifically running Josephine, and they have 4 movement and are basically armadillos.
Well, the advantage to armadillos is one, they're faster speed, but also they have 2 hex, so you can actually cover your range stack with your 2 stacks of armadillos, but you can't get, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 stacks of stone golems up to guard your Master Gremlins on the first turn.
Specifically, if you're Josephine, you can. You can do it exactly on your own terrain, but yeah, I would say it's reasonable to leave them where they are. Next up is the elves. Wood elves. 3 to 5 is meh damage. 15 health is meh. It's fine because it's ranged. 6 speed is decent. It's above average, in fact. They're kind of standard shooters. Let's see. Compared to orcs, they are a little bit more damage with 2 more speed. They're considerably better than orcs. Beholders, they're even, let's see, 7 less HP with 1 extra speed. Worse than beholders.
Top of
They,
C.
they, let me go look at the. Let me see compared to pirates. 3 to 5, 15, 6. 3 to 5, 15, 6. They have the same stats as the pirates, but with infinite shots.
Less damage.
1 less upper damage. Yeah, 1 less damage, but with infinite shots. I'd probably put them like kind of in here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That I don't necessarily feel great about that. I don't. I hate seeing these guys. I feel like they deserve to be lower, but frankly, their stats are pretty good.
They're beefy. They take a lot of damage.
And if you upgrade, they double their damage, which is amazing, and they get an extra speed, which can be the difference in a lot of scenarios if you're taking some dwellings. These guys are awesome. You lose these all the first siege that you do, but these guys carry you until then, similar to the marksman of castle. These guys feel really good to use. They're a little hard to mass until like week 2, week 3, but man, do they pack a punch. Really, really critical. You need these guys in your centaurs basically are your whole army until you get to gold dragons. They're wonderful. This is low A tier. This is a big drop off between these two units, and a small jump like this is probably more accurate. Honestly, I'm just gonna do that, and you can give your thoughts.
I think that's reasonable. The marksmen do quite a good job of bolstering the early game for Rampart, and frankly, you don't really feel as good as you do with them for quite a long time. Or I guess there's nothing else that you really get that makes you feel as strong. Even gold dragons, not as much. So I think they belong up there. And yeah, I would say that they do seem like they're the equivalent of the pirates in terms of like they both have advantages over the other, and it seems like it's kind of like a pretty balanced split between them. So let's go into Griffin and Royal Griffin. So 3 to 6, 25 health, 6 speed, flying, 2 retaliation. There's a lot of things going on here. So 3 to 6 is just a little bit over average. 25 is a little over average. 6 speed is a little over average. They're flying and they have 2 retaliation. So, I mean, it's got to be C tier, right? Probably high C tier. Probably just below Serpentflies.
Want to check the stats?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have better stats mostly than Serpentflies. More damage, more health, 3 less speed. No double retaliation. So, like, I think they're... So, they do the same damage, roughly, as Hellhounds. They have the same health. They have 1 less speed, but they have 2 retaliations and they fly. So, I mean, like, again, this is really, like, they all belong together. They're all pretty close. But you upgrade them to Royal Griffins, they get a lot faster, and they get infinite retaliations. So, plus 3 speed, which is relevant, unlimited retaliations, and 25 health. So, the thing is, you don't usually see it from human players because you have better things to do with Castle. But with computer players, sometimes you see these really big Griffin stacks. And if you don't have good spells, you're just like, I don't want to try and pile on them because they just retaliate over and over again. 25 health is not small. Like, they are decently tanky. And a lot of retaliations, like, you don't get to clear the big stack that's, like, kind of frightening very easily. So you don't want to, like, do the thing where you run 4 guys in and hit it and try and clear it out. So I would say it's actually pretty good. I would say it probably belongs in low B tier, probably over the Evil Eyes, not the Beholders. No, sorry, over the Beholders, not the Evil Eyes. So probably there. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, they're pretty good. 3 speed is a big deal. The unlimited retals is who cares. how often, like 2 retals is enough. You're hardly ever getting piled on. I mean, if you are, the stack is really, really dead, and that third or fourth retal is going to be pretty much useless. 3 speed is the big deal. That's the big selling point. It's a unit to go over the walls with your angels. They're pretty beefy. I think they're just really hard to mass. You usually prioritize other units. At some point, maybe you buy them. They're definitely not as... They don't fill a role in Castle as much as the Evil Eyes. I'd probably put them below both of them. But, I mean, it's approximately where I'd put them as well.
Well, so the reason I say that usually you don't get a big power stack when you're playing Castle is because you do something better with your time. Because there's a lot of strong things to do with Castle. But the thing is, they have a unit creature dwelling that increases their population, and they're a third level unit. It's like you actually could get a big stack from it if that was a priority. Like you could have them week 1, and you could have them with a plus. I don't know what the term is. The creature dwelling improvement rank. It slips my mind. Anyway, like you could get a power stack, and if you get a power stack, unlimited retaliation suddenly becomes pretty good. Because if you fly around with 250 of these guys in a big fight, you're like, I send them in, and they can't dogpile them very easily because they'll all take retaliations. They're not squishy, so they won't die in a minute. And I do have other things that are worth hitting, so they won't target them very well. Like, I think they're not bad, but we don't get much use out of them because, again, you're like, I'd rather have Angels, I'd rather have Crusaders, I'd rather have Champions, I'd rather have, like, Marksmen. And then it's not until, like, you're competing with really Zealots and Pikemen that you start getting into Griffins. So, like they might be better than we give them credit for is all my thought is. Because I think that the unlimited retaliation is a lot better the bigger the stack.
Keep in mind also that they're not in the build path of Angels, so you're very likely not getting them until week 3. You might get them in advance, but you a lot of times you skip them to get the Angels in week 2, and you don't end up getting these guys for a while because they're not in the build path for anything. So they're not a tier 1 or 2 that you start with, and they end up getting skipped. I think they're better than I generally give them credit for, but I just think realistically they don't play much of a role in the games usually. And then lastly we have the Bulwark units. These I'm still getting a feel for. 4 to 6 damage is it's good. Solid damage. Basically average HP. They have kind of the Corsair thing with only 4 shots and no melee penalty. They basically are Corsairs actually. Let's see.
6 more health.
They're basically Corsairs with 15, 7 more HP, 1 less speed. They're 4 to 6, 3, 7. They're kind of a wash, honestly, with Corsairs. They're really, really comparable to Corsairs. Definitely tankier, but with no retal. If you manage the Corsairs well, maybe it doesn't matter that much. They're really similar though, really similar, neck and neck, I would say. I would probably intuitively say that they are less important. They seem so far with my Bulwark play to be the unit stack that you really rely on, but the Corsairs, I'm stacking these guys as quickly as I can because I'm going for the Sea Dogs, and maybe that makes me play more timid with them and play worse. Hard to say. They're super similar. They could flip flop for me, and I wouldn't really argue. If you upgrade them, where did they go? 4 to 6 damage stays the same. You gain 3 more HP, 1 speed, and some more shots and you can shoot while adjacent to enemy creatures. I'm not super sure how these are a unit. If you have no melee penalty, well, they have the retail. So the Corsairs have the no retail. Man, they're super similar to Corsairs.
They're just better, right? They have more health.
I don't know. The no retail might be similar to the shooting to adjacent targets. But they have a lot more HP. I think that's the selling point. I'd probably put them at the top of B tier, possibly bottom of A. I'll probably put them in the bottom of A. I think they're really good. You can't really block them well because of their ability. They have enough shots to get through most combats, unless, again, if you're really trying to min-max and kite for an eternity, then you can run out of shots, but you're basically not running out of shots. There are no melee penalties. A big deal is you can't block them. They're just really solid. They're pretty tanky for their tier. I feel pretty good about them being A tier. Maybe even better than Grand Elves. Let me check that. 4 to 6 or 6 to 10. That's probably a trade-off I would take. It's a bit iffy. It depends. If you could keep the Grand Elves clean, they're better. But otherwise, I think these guys are maybe better in all circumstances. I mean, if you're taking dwellings, especially if you're taking crypts, churchyards, they're certainly better.
Yeah, I'll say that they do feel quite nice because they're pretty tanky and you really can't get parked with them. So, like, people take shots at you, but, like, you're generally playing a slower group that, like, you will pile on people that show up to your doorstep. And having 24 health, not dissimilar to, like, Ice Elementals, like, I feel like they're going to hang around. Like, even if things kind of get hairy, it's like they're tanky enough to stick with it. I guess not dissimilar from Evil Eyes, but they're not way better than Evil Eyes either. They do more damage, though, and they can shoot in melee, which means that they don't fall off in their damage until all 8 shots have been spent. And they still hold their damage. They start getting retaliated. So, like, they seem pretty good. I'd probably say that Grand Elves are better. I was going to say, well, look at Ice Elementals again. I can imagine dropping the Water Elementals, but, like, Ice Elementals are pretty good. Like, look at them again.
That's what I was looking at. Same damage-ish.
3, 7, 30, 6,
It's HP for no retail, no melee penalty.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think no melee penalty. The thing is, like, again, 30 health is a lot. Like, they're very tanky ranged units. They're the tankiest 3rd level by a great deal, and, like, that is relevant. So, like, I don't know. I think that it's one of those things where Ice Elementals, the reason you stick them so high in B is not because, like, on any given fight they do so much, but because you don't bleed them like you bleed other range stacks. So, like, you go attack a castle and they shoot, you know, the 3 towers, and you lose 4 Ice Elementals as opposed to 9, like Grand Elves, or maybe it's 12 Grand Elves or something. Like, you lose way less units, and that's relevant for, like, why they're useful. It's like, they just hang around, you have other stacks doing things that are important, their damage isn't amazing, but it's going to be there, and it's going to stay there until your army basically bleeds down from a really big fight. Like, that's nice. But yeah, I would say Steel Elves are worse than Marksmen, but in a similar manner. They're sturdier, and they do good damage. So I could see it either way. I think it's a pretty good list. Only one F tier this time, though.
Yeah, I've basically been using F tier for if I don't want them in my army, I leave them in the castle. That's basically what I've reserved F tier for, is I either don't buy them, I don't upgrade them, or I don't even carry them in my army. D is like, they're with my army. This is why I think Armadillos maybe should be at the top of the D tier, is because they actually fill a role. The other creatures are kind of just there. But anyways, that's what I'm using F tier, is basically I leave them in the castle. I don't even want them in my army. Kobolds are F tier for me. I don't think that's where they ended up. I think they're in the bottom of D. I guess, no, I would like to leave them, but you actually have to.
Yeah.
You kind of need the meat. I would rather leave them in the castle, but you kind of need them. So
Bottom of D.
that's tier 3. We'll see you on tier 4. Once I can get my mouse over there.